and this is how we welcome you to Artistic Spot, about show about art, talent, and entrepreneurship, where you are also the artist. In Artistic Spot, we're actors of our movies, singers of our musicals, and writers of our books. My name is Jose Rodriguez Marmo, and I'm your host in episode 93. And today we have a very special guest. Boris Quino is joining us. We are recording this episode from Fabo in Orlando. And we are so happy to have you, Boris.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. You are a pastry chef.
I am.
But also, you are an artist.
Yes.
You're originally from Peru, but I want you to tell our audience your story, how you ended up in Orlando, and where does this passion for the arts comes from?
Well, I'm a pastry chef. I started doing pastry since I was 15 years old. I'm almost 40 years old now. And I started painting 4 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 years ago I started painting. I left the pastries just because I was 4 years ago I was having some health issues, and depression and anxiety kicked in. Started taking a bunch of medications, and since I couldn't cook or bake anymore, I didn't know what else to do. Out of one day of anxiety, I just started painting instead of taking medications. And 2 years from now, here where I am.
Wow, that's amazing backstory. How did painting help you to fight depression and anxiety? Because you're telling you were going through a tough moment in your life.
Yes.
Healthy wise. So how these beautiful things you do with oil paint have helped you to overcome that situation, and why?
Well, being a person that is an introvert, that does not speak much to people, that's one of my smaller problems that I have. The way I express myself in painting without giving words to others, it have actually liberated me, or basically made so much difference now. I can actually speak to people throughout my paintings without saying much.
So without saying much, but you paint a lot. So what do you say to the audience through your paintings?
Don't give up. There's a lot of colors. Sometimes when you're depressed, you see a lot of darkness. And all of these oils, colors, you see a light. You see a lot of light. You see, it have decreased the medications I take. So it's good therapy.
Can you tell us a little bit about your dad? We know that he has been a very important person for you. He's also an artist, so maybe that artistry background comes from that side. Can you tell us a little bit how you pay homage to your dad with the paintings you do and make every day?
Well, my father, being an amazing artist, when he found out about the first painting I did, he was the same surprised as me, that now that I'm taking this as my passion. He's been guiding me a lot. He's been giving me a lot of feedback, and in a way he's been really stricted with education, with the art, but he's been my right arm. He's been helping me a lot with it too.
What have you learned from him besides having that support? Can you see some of your dad in the paintings that we have around this studio?
Yes. He influenced me a lot, especially with expressing yourself without talking, expressing yourself from your subconscious, and let your subconscious talk to you. Something that is really hard to get into. There's a bunch of paintings here that comes from my subconscious, especially when it comes to the part of the depression. It makes me. It's a way of disinvolving myself on that side.
What have you learned from this passion for the arts as a light at the end of the tunnel after going through all those situations in your life? What has been the biggest takeaway?
Peace. Hope, and a bunch of faith.
That's good. Peace, hope, and a bunch of faith. So, Boris, you told me you were from Peru.
Yes.
And you have been living in Orlando for a little bit more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you here to Orlando? What brings Boris to Orlando to pursue his dreams? What made you make the decision, maybe your family made the decision to leave Peru and be here?
Well, my parents came here to the United States first. We actually stayed with my grandfather, my brothers and sisters. Stayed there for 10 years without them until immigration kicked in and we actually came over to the United States. It was actually my father's and my mother's idea. My father's because in Peru in the 90s, it was a tough moment with a lot of government issues.
Mm-hmm.
My father wanted a better life for us, and that was the decision of them bringing us to this country. For me coming to Fabo, my father was here first a few 5 years ago, and Will Vento was one of the inspirations, one of the persons that has been helping me a lot for me to decide of coming here. He was one of the persons that pushed me to have this here. My family also, I talked to them and they made a good decision on me coming to Pablo.
And you were working 2 jobs in order to be able to have your dad here in the studio, correct?
Yes, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Well, my father on that time of year, he was going through a lot of tough moments. He was having cancer, dealing with cancer, also glaucoma, and because of the glaucoma, he started losing his sight, his eyesight. One of his left eye built a lot of pressure in it, so they did an emergency surgery, and he lost that eye.
Oh wow!
On the right eye, he only had 30% of vision left. So he got really depressed because he couldn't paint, he couldn't see. His peripherals were the only things that he lost on the right side. So he could only see directly, not to the sides.
Wow.
Plus the cancer, he couldn't walk much. He was really weak. One day, with all the money that I have saved, I was going to open a small pastry shop. I saw my father how one day I woke up and I saw him in the couch with the medication that he was taking, and he was passed out asleep. That was the moment I woke up and I made a decision on coming here and talk to Will Bento to give my father some type of motivation to get up and to keep painting. I talked to Will. we made a small sketch of the studio that I wanted to have for my father. And I used the money that I have to just build this small studio for him.
Wow. So art heals, correct?
It heals. It heals. I'm a person that with faith, I believe a lot in God, and after I use all the money that I have to help my father with the studio, this great, amazing person came in, and the same date of the opening of the studio, on a Friday night, I remember my brother, I went to the house, I went to take a shower because I was tired of fixing the studio. Ran down to my house, came back, and then the phone sounds. My brother said to me, "Boris, somebody's at the studio, he wants to buy paintings." And he bought 6 paintings that night.
Wow.
Not only returning the money that I spent on my father's studio, but pay for a bunch of things for surgery for my father, money that they were missing on the house. And it was a sign of him upstairs and telling me that what we were doing, it was good.
It was the right path.
It was the right path.
So now, Boris, how do you see yourself as an artist? Because you have been doing this for such a short period of time, but you had your master and your mentor, your dad, right next to you. How do you see yourself in the next few years? With this studio at Favo, how do you see yourself as an artist and as a human being?
As an artist? It's funny that you say that, because a year and a half ago, I wouldn't say that I was an artist. I wouldn't say that I consider one myself. And now I think all of me is there. Passion is the art, and in a few years from now, I hope my skills turns better, and I want to keep going. I want to stay here. I want to stay at Favo. I want to grow with Favo, and this is healing me. So if it heals me, I think it could be a proof of a lot.
Yes.
And if I can help people showing what I do, it's
What part of your story is in those paintings that we see around the studio? What part of you?
one of them is this one right here. That one, if you see, it's a desert. Sun, it's hot. Usually when in the desert, there's nowhere to plant anything. But then you see a little germination of a plant there, of hope. And then if you see really deep into it, you see like a chemical formula there.
Yes.
And it's the medication I take for my health. Where my health right now is much better than before. It cured me. So if it cured me, it would cure a lot of people. And since that, I thought I was not gonna make it. And that germination means that there's hope for everything.
Yes. Thank you, Boris, for sharing that important part of your story with us in Artistic Spot. It means a lot to us to be able to get to know people like you in another level, because sometimes we just pass by through the studio and we see you painting, but we tend to forget as an audience that even though you are delivering a message in painting, there's a story that it's behind you. Exactly. And this is a great opportunity for our audience to listen to that beautiful story. Now, Boris, where can people find you on social media? Do you have an Instagram handle, a Facebook page? Can you tell us so they can follow you and be part of your journey?
I have both on Facebook and Instagram at borisquino.com or borisquino at yahoo.com.
Perfect. So make sure to follow Boris on social media and be part of these amazing things that he does and be part of his journey. So now, Boris, before we leave, I want you to give our audience a message. If you were able to decide and have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people looking to us through social media, on our YouTube channel, everywhere podcasts are available, what would you tell them?
Hey, guys, depression, anxiety, are really big problems here in America. People commit suicide for things like this. It's a really delicate issue, and art itself, people like Will Bento, my family, and the few friends that I have made it possible for me to get better and to see a light at the end of the tunnel. If you see people like this, like me, that have been fighting for this for a while, talk to them. There's help. I'm thankful to Will Bento, to Fabo, and to my family for this. Don't pass by people like this. Don't ignore them. They need help. They need you. They need friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Boris, for such an important and powerful message, and that art heals.
It does.
And thank you for being part of our story in Artistic Spot. Thank you so much for being so open about your life. And we are truly amazed of the beauty that you can portray in a canvas.
Thank you.
And for those of you, our audience, don't forget to tune us back in next week in Artistic Spot, where you are also the artist.